الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور انفسنا ومن سيئات اعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له واشهد ان لا اله الا الله وحده لا شريك له واشهد ان محمدا عبده ورسوله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى اله وصحبه ومن استنى بسنته الى يوم الدين ثم اما بعد to proceed. To begin with, يعني لا يشكر الله من لم يشكر الناس. He does not show gratitude to Allah. He who does not show gratitude to the people does not show gratitude to Allah. So the one who came up with the idea of this topic and put together the structure of this talk is actually Brother Elvi. So you may thank him for choosing this topic. It's a beautiful topic. The topic of those whom Allah loves and those whom Allah does not love, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran. And today, inshallah, we'll go over one of those types, which is al-Muhsineen. And we'll talk about the ihsan, inshallah, and the other days we'll talk about the Tawheed, al-Mutahireen, al-Muttaqeen, the different types of people, different categories of people that whom Allah loves. But to begin with, al-Muhsineen is appropriate because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not say in the Quran that He loves anyone more than He said that He loves al-Muhsineen. In particular, in five places in the Quran, Allah said, Wallahu yuhibbu al-Muhsineen, and Allah loves al-Muhsineen. Which would make us wonder who are the al-Muhsinun and how do they get there, how do they become Muhsineen. And we should certainly talk about the concept of ihsan, but we will talk about the concept of ihsan by reflecting on the very verses that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that He loves al-Muhsineen. Because reflecting on these particular verses in which Allah told us that He loves al-Muhsineen will give us a great idea, a perfect idea about al-ihsan, or the concept of ihsan. And certainly, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, hadith Jibreel, that Muslim reported from Umar radiallahu anhu about ihsan, will also be mentioned in this talk. And we'll reflect on this hadith and what the implications of this hadith are. Inshallah, we will try to make it brief, but I don't know how brief it will be. Inshallah, I'll leave time for Adhkar al-Sabah. But my intent is to make this brief because you have gone through like a full night of worship and qiyam and so on. Many of you are tired. So my intent is to make this as brief as possible, but to reflect on the verses of ihsan and the concept of ihsan, you may not be able to just finish this in 5 or 10 minutes. It may take a little more. So the verses in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that He loves al-Muhsineen. And the reason why I'm not translating al-Muhsineen is that it is extremely difficult to translate al-Muhsineen. How do you translate al-Muhsineen? It's a concept that, and this is basically not because of the superiority of the Arabic language versus English. And we do believe that Allah chose Arabic for a purpose, and that the language does have some distinct characteristics for which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose it to be the language of His final testament or His final revelation. But the words, the terminology had already acquired a wide scope of implications. Those particular words that we use, the word ihsan, muhsin, the word salah, the word tahara, the word zakat, these words, not because of their original Arabic usage, but because of the implications they acquired over time in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, and our Turath, our legacy, our heritage that we inherited from our righteous predecessors and from our great imams and scholars. These words have already acquired a lot of meanings. To reduce the meanings into like one translation or one interpretation would be next to impossible. It would be impossible to do this. So in Muhsineen, we will come to see that there are certain meanings attached to the word ihsan. The meaning of perfection, all of you know. The meaning of kindness, perfection, kindness. When we talk about ihsan, we talk about kindness, right? And Allah kataba al-ihsan ala kulli shay. Allah prescribed kindness in every matter, in every regard, concerning everything. So when we talk about ihsan, we talk about kindness. When we talk about ihsan, we talk about perfection. But we also, when we talk about ihsan, we talk about beauty, right? And they're all interconnected. You know, kindness, perfection, beauty. Hasan is beautiful. Wajhun Hasan, a beautiful face. So ihsan is about perfection, it's about excellence, it's about beauty, it's about kindness, it's about all of this. But there is an important thread that we will discover when we reflect on the ayat in which Allah said, Wallahu yuhibbul muhsineen, and Allah loves al-muhsineen. There is a very important thread. That thread is that al-muhsinun are people who never falter. They don't waver in purpose. They don't waver in intent. They don't waver in action. They just don't waver. They never falter. It has to do not only with the apparent meanings of ihsan, beauty, perfection, excellence, kindness, but the common thread here is that they never lose sight, focus, they never waver, you know, they never lose sight of the purpose of their existence. And that is the common thread. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for instance, mentions in Surah Al-Baqarah, وَأَنْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ وَأَحْسِنُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ وَأَنْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. That's the first verse in which Allah said, first verse in the Quran in which Allah said, وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ, in Surah Al-Baqarah. وَأَنْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, and spend in the way of Allah. وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ, and do not cause yourselves destruction. وَأَحْسِنُوا, and show ihsan, do righteousness, be excellent in your conduct. That's what وَأَحْسِنُوا means. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ, for Allah verily loves al-muhsineen, those who show perfection, show excellence, those who don't falter or show weakness of the resolve. Why did Allah reveal this verse? You know the story of this verse. Abu Ayyub al-Ansari told us that when the Ansar, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave victory to His Prophet, the Ansar said to themselves, well, let's take care of our business. We have supported the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him victorious. Now let's go back and take care of our farms, take care of our business. The Ansar were farmers. Farming takes a lot of dedication, it takes a lot of attention and so on. And we have been neglecting our worldly business for several years, and we're done. We have done it. It's not that we are leaving the Prophet ﷺ in the middle of the way. No, we're done. Allah made the Prophet ﷺ victorious. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them it never ends. That pursuit of paradise never ends. And there will be always work for you to do. And don't ever walk back on your heels. Don't ever give up the cause. Or give up. It's not that they intended to give up the cause, like, we're not going to pray in a jama'ah. No. It's just that, we will not basically have this complete, undivided attention to the cause, because the cause has been fulfilled. They saw the cause has been fulfilled. Allah gave the Prophet ﷺ victory, gave Islam victory. The cause has been fulfilled. Allah told them the cause is never fulfilled until you die. The cause of serving Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, your purpose of existence is to serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until the last breath. And that is when the cause for you has been fulfilled. when it comes to you, the cause is not fulfilled until the last breath leaves your chest. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them, وَأَنْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, continue. Like the Ansar have been spending in the way of Allah. They are the Ansar, they are the supporters, they are the people who gave the Prophet a victory. So that they have been doing it. Allah is telling them, now continue. Don't let weakness befall your resolve. Continue to spend, continue to support the cause, وَأَحْسِنُوا, and do righteousness, show, act with perfection, act with excellence, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. So that's the first verse. And it has to do with this perseverance, with this endurance. Carry on. Complete it. Finish it up. Top it off. Add the cream on top of the cake. That's what ihsan is about. It is, that's why when we talk about beauty, that's what beauty is about. Do you ever work on beautifying a building or a bridge or any structure before you finish up the foundation, before you finish the pillars and the walls and paint it? Do you ever work on ornamenting? Would you have ever worked on ornamenting the masjid before you built the foundation, before you finish the walls and pillars and ceiling? No. Beauty comes at the end. That is to top it off, to finish, to complete it, to perfect it. That's what beauty is about, right? So beauty is the ultimate thing. That's why, when something is described as beautiful, it means it is uppermost, it is ultimate in its perfection, because no one will pay attention to beauty before they have already worked on the foundation and the structure, and everything is complete, everything's sound, everything is strong, and now we work on ornamenting, beautifying the structure, whether it is a physical structure or any other abstract concept. Then in Surah Ali Imran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Ali Imran, الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ فِي السَّرَّاءِ وَالضَّرَّاءِ وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ وَالْعَافِينَ عَنِ النَّاسِ وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Surah Ali Imran, Allah tells us those who spend in ease and hardship, they continue to spend. It's about the extra mile. It's about the extra step. It's about the extra effort. Ihsan is about the extra mile. It is about, like I said, finish it up, top it off, complete it, perfect it. Don't stop here. Do a little bit more. So they are not only spending in sarra, they are also spending in dharra. They are not only spending in Eid during time of ease, but also during the time of hardship, which takes endurance, it takes resolve. It takes you to not lose sight of the purpose of your existence. I will continue to spend. The beauty of Zakat al-Fitr, according to the Maliki, Shafi'is, and Hanbalis, Zakat al-Fitr is obligatory on each and every one who has more than sustenance for one day. Can you imagine this? According to the Hanafis, it is obligatory on people who have the nisab, which is the zakatable threshold, because that is the definition of being wealthy, is to have the nisab. And they applied the same standards that they applied to zakat al-mal, they applied it to zakat al-fitr. But if you take the Maliki and Shafi'i and Hanbali position, which is that zakat al-fitr is obligatory on everyone who has more than sustenance for more than one day, that is to train people on giving. Even if you have food for your family, yourself and your family, that is only sufficient for one day. Tomorrow, I have no food for tomorrow. I have no money to purchase food for tomorrow, and I have no food tomorrow. But I will give all of the surplus that I have, whatever is more than this sustenance for one day for myself and my family, I will give it to the poor. You're poor. You're extremely poor. If you have food only for one day, you're extremely poor. But that is training for you on giving, even in the time of hardship, even through poverty. So الذين ينفقون في السراء والضراء والكاظمين الغيظ. So those who spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ease and hardship, and those who control كاظمين الغيظ, those who suppress their rage, control and suppress their rage. That's important. To suppress your rage is extremely important, and it is extremely important for us. We tend to be, most of us come from backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds that are called warm-blooded, and whatever that means, but but it is important for us, particularly people who are warm-blooded, to show hilm, to show forbearance, because you're being tested a little bit harder in this regard. People who come from different ethnic backgrounds, they have different tests. It is just like a variety of tests. You may be, and it's not just the ethnic backgrounds, it's also the individual personal differences. Some people are born with certain characteristics and qualities that are challenging. And it is never unfair, because who gave you this? Allah. Allah is never unfair. It's just that your test is a little bit different. Don't think that your fellow next to you does not have his own challenges, like the different variety of challenges. Everybody has challenges. So if you were born with temper issues, problems, short fused, as they say, that is your challenge. Work on it. So forbearance is basically your goal here, to be forbearing, to practice hilm, and forbearance is your goal. So وَالْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ, those who suppress their rage, control their anger and suppress their rage. وَالْعَافِينَ عَلَى النَّاسِ, and those who forgive النَّاسِ, people. Those who pardon and forgive and overlook. That's a step higher from الْكَاظِمِينَ الْغَيْظَ, isn't it? Because to suppress your rage is one thing, and to forgive is another thing. You can suppress your rage, but you basically can control your anger, suppress your rage, but you're not forgiving. No, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is inviting you. Have you taken that step? Yes. Then take the next step. Now forgive. Had you controlled your anger and suppressed your rage? Yes. Take the next step. Rise, transcend, ascend. So go up a step more and forgive. From the bottom of your heart, just forgive. Overlook it, as if it didn't happen. You had this altercation with your brother, and you suppressed your rage. You did a good job. You walked out of the masjid because you felt that you can't, handle it anymore, or you walked out of the bedroom. You're having an argument with your spouse or something. You felt that you can't handle it anymore. Now, did you calm down now? Yes. Okay, it is time now to completely remove it from your heart. Get it out of your heart. Forgive. Basically, you could do this by reflecting, by trying to find excuses for your friend, your spouse, your coworker. Try to find an excuse. They must have done this for a reason. I must have done something wrong, even if I don't know it. I must have irritated them somehow. I must have said something that irritated them. I may have not done it today. I may have done it last year, but they are holding the grudges. So I will excuse them, and I will completely forgive. Get it out of my heart. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ, and Allah loves the muhsineen. Allah loves those who show kindness. Here, ihsan, here, that is the interface between perfection and kindness, because ihsan shows you a lot of interfaces between perfection and kindness, between perfection and patience, between perfection and beauty. Here, ihsan is showing you that interface between perfection and kindness. It means those who, Muhsineen here means those who are kind and those who are perfect. Because that is the last rank, the highest ranking here. The highest ranking, we said that the first one is to control your anger and suppress your rage. The second one is to forgive. But the highest is to extend kindness to those who, wronged you, to those who oppressed you, to those who shortchanged you. Now, you're not going to only suppress your rage, you're not going to only forgive them, but you're going to also send them a gift. Send them like a card with some beautiful words, or like an apology about your share of responsibility in this, in the escalation of the argument. Because you go back after every argument, after every disagreement. If you're truly impartial and you go back, you will find yourself most of the time, 99% of the time, you'll find that you participated in escalating the argument, that you were also wrong. If you were not basically the one who instigated it, if you were not the one who was mainly responsible for the escalation, you're at least partially responsible for the escalation. What if you apologize for being partially responsible for escalating the argument with your spouse, with your coworker, with your friend, with your brother, with your aunt, with anyone? That is ihsan. So ihsan here, it's about perfection, it's about kindness, and it is about the extra step. It is the extra step. Don't stop here. Go a little bit farther. Don't say to yourself, it is good enough that I did not answer back, that I did not talk back. No, forgive. But not only that, don't stop here. Don't say to yourself, it is good enough that he is the oppressor here, he is the wrongdoer here, or she is. But don't say that. Go, further and, take the extra step, go the extra mile. And that is what ihsan is about. It's about the surplus, the increase. And that is why the reward will come to you as a muhsin with, not only a fair compensation, not only a beautiful compensation, not only the best compensation, but وزيادة. That ziyada defines ihsan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Yunus, لِلَّذِينَ أَحْسَنُوا الْحُسْنَى وَزِيَادَةٌ وَلَا يَرْهَقُ وُجُوهَهُمْ قَتَرٌ وَلَا ذِلَّةٌ أُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ الْجَنَّةِ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. لِلَّذِينَ أَحْسَنُوا الْحُسْنَى وَزِيَادَةٌ. If you really examine this ziyada, the word ziyada, it tells you about ihsan. Because of jaza' min jins al-amal, the reward would be according to the deeds. So, if the reward for ihsan here has a surplus, an increase, like an additional reward. So Allah says, لِلَّذِينَ أَحْسَنُوا الْحُسْنَى, for those who basically acted with ihsan, or acted with excellence and perfection, kindness, beauty. Al-husna. Husna is what? Husna means the best reward, which is the most beautiful reward. Husna would mean the most beautiful or the best reward. But Allah did not just say husna. And Allah said, waziyad, and an increase, surplus, and more. Al-husna and more. More is what ihsan is about. Ihsan is about the extra step, extra mile, more, the increase. Don't stop here, go a little bit farther to show ihsan. Don't, basically, you finished your prayer, why don't you finish your sunnah? Why don't you do your sunnah? You finished your sunnah, why don't you do your azkar with ihsan? You want to do your azkar, why don't you do your azkar with ihsan? You want to read Quran? Why don't you read Quran with ihsan? Why don't you have the proper arrangement, proper, setting and arrangement to read the Quran so that you do it with ihsan? And then your reward will have this ziyada. But what is the ziyada? The ziyada is beholding Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is another ila wajh Allah al-kareem. It is to behold Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another ila wajh Allah al-kareem. Ru'yatullah. It's to see Allah and behold Allah with your own eyes in the hereafter. Should anyone be disinterested in it, have zuhd in that? Should anyone not want that ziyada? And if you want that ziyada that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you, which tops off your reward, which adds like a whole different dimension to your reward. Your reward is a great reward. Jannah is a great reward. Allah is telling you, Husna, the best reward, that is Jannah, right? So Jannah is a great reward. But Allah is telling you that I have some more for you also. And that is to behold my face. That is to see me with your own eyes, with the eyes in your head, not the eyes in your heart. Because with the eyes of your heart, you should have been able to see me in the dunya. But with the eyes of your own head, I will allow you to behold me. What, how could anyone not go the extra mile, not do the ziyada in this dunya to earn and to be deserving of that ziyada that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him in the hereafter? What have we done to be deserving of the Jannah to begin with? To be deserving of eternity in paradise? What have we done really to be deserving of this? But not only that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you more than that. And then the people of the Jannah, when they get to behold Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this will be unlike anything else they ever experienced, even the Jannah. That is the ultimate experience of joy and bliss, to behold Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to be able to see Him. So the ziyada that Allah talked about here, ihsan is all about this ziyada. You do this in the dunya to become deserving of it in the akhirah. And see, that's the thread. Endure, show patience, perseverance, don't falter, don't waver, carry on, until you earn that ihsan, that degree of perfection, or that ranking of excellence. Then in Surah Al-Imran, another verse in Surah Al-Imran, also in which Allah said, Wallahu yuhibbul muhsineen. وكأين من نبي قدر معه ربيون كثير فمنعوا بما أصابهم في سبيل الله وما ضعفوا واستقاموا والله يحب الصابرين وكان قولهم إلا أن قالوا ربنا اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين فأتاهم الله ثواب الدنيا وحسن ثواب الآخرة والله يحب الإحسان. So, how many a prophet fought in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Allah is saying, وكأين من نبي قدر معه ربيون كثير. How many a prophet fought in the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? فَمَا وَهْنُوا لِمَا أَصَابَهُمْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. And so they did not falter because of what had befallen them in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they did not show weakness, they did not become weak. Or humility. They did not show weakness or humility before their enemy, or they did not show submission or submissiveness to their enemy. And Allah loves those who are patient, enduring, who have resolve, perseverance. And then they not said but, or their speech was none but, that they asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive them. So they are the ones who, you look at this. This is really ihsan. This is really ihsan, the embodiment of ihsan. These are people that are fighting for the cause of Allah. They've given up their lives. They're laying down their lives for their God. These are people who are laying down their lives for their God. And then they are not saying to their God, we're doing this. Look at us. They're saying what? رَبَّنَا اغْفِرْ لَنَا ذُنُوبَنَا. Oh Allah, forgive our sins. In the midst of this is the ultimate test. It is the sacrifice your life for your God, to lay down your life for your God, for certainly a legitimate cause. But they are saying, and this is the beauty of it, they are recognizing their weakness. They're recognizing their shortcomings. They're recognizing that I have not done enough. I am giving up my life for you, but please forgive me. While I'm sacrificing my life for you, please forgive me. Forgive my sins of the past. رَبَّنَا اغْفِرْ لَنَا ذُنُوبَنَا وَإِسْرَافَنَا فِي أَمْرِنَا, and our excesses in our affairs. Israf means extravagance. Here it means excess. Excess. Our excesses in all of our affairs. Our transgression, our overstepping the limits, trespassing the bounds of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَإِسْرَافَنَا فِي أَمْرِنَا وَثَبِّتْ أَقْدَامَنَا, and establish our feet firmly, وَانْصُرْنَا عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الْكَافِرِينَ, and give us victory over the disbelievers. فَآتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ ثَوَابَ الدُّنْيَا, then Allah gave them the reward of this dunya. وَحُسْنَ ثَوَابَ الْآخِرَةِ, and the beautiful reward of the hereafter. وَحُسْنَ ثَوَابَ الْآخِرَةِ, and the beautiful reward of the hereafter. Because there is nothing, the dunya, no matter how beautiful it is, it can't be described as beautiful in comparison to the akhirah, because the beauty of the akhirah is eternity. The beauty is that it is not going to end. Because anything in this dunya, whatever you have been given in this dunya, like you became the president of the United States, he's leaving office in a few months. It will end. And no one will be talking about him anymore. They'll talk about him probably when he breaks his leg or something happens to him, God forbid. But they'll talk about him when something major happens, and it will be like a small piece and no attention anymore. So you've enjoyed it, but it was 8 years. Why am I mentioning this? Because it's the highest office, and America is the strongest superpower in this dunya. This is the highest office in the strongest country. So, but it is 8 years. It is temporary. It is transient. The transience of it takes away the beauty. The beauty in the hereafter is that you're here, and you're here forever. You made it. You walked in. You're not walking out. You're just gonna be here forever. So once you walk into paradise, there is nothing more beautiful than this, because you're told that that's it. You're here forever. You're in this, amazing ni'mah without end. You don't have to worry about leaving. Sometimes it is nice to reflect on the conditions of the people in this life. I was watching, they have pictures of the best sort of residences in America, the best palaces. And some people own islands with huge mansions. You own the island, and you own your mansion on this island. And you have your jet, and you have your chopper, and you have your boat, and you have your yacht, and you have everything. But I was saying to myself, wouldn't this make you more anxious? Because you know that you're leaving it. Wouldn't this make you, like once you hit your big 50 or 60 or this, or wouldn't you be more anxious? Because now you're not going to be able to enjoy all of this. You have it, but you're not going to be able even to enjoy food because now you have reflux, and now your knees are hurting. So you're not going to be able to enjoy even walking. Actually a family member, one of my family members, he was given a lot by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he had this condition where he loses breath when he walks any distance. People may know this condition, particularly older people. And so he can't move away from his oxygen tank. So if he goes out to his beautiful backyard, he has to go out for like a couple of minutes and then walk back home, to be near his oxygen tank. Or if he goes out to his beautiful backyard, he has to take his oxygen tank with him. It shows you what this dunya is about. It shows you the transience, unpredictability of this dunya, and how little it is compared to the akhirah. فآتاهم الله ثواب الدنيا وحسن ثواب الآخرة والله يحب المحسنين. And Allah gave them the reward of this life and the beautiful reward of the hereafter in eternity. والله يحب المحسنين, and Allah loves the muhsineen. And Allah loves those who act with perfection, act with excellence. These are people that really were perfect, aren't they? قاتل معه ربيون كثير. Fought along with him, along with this prophet, Ribbiyun. Ribbiyun means what? Scholars of God. Ribbiyun comes from Rabb. So they are scholars of God. Isn't that, they are scholars of God. They have the knowledge, and not only that they have the knowledge, because a lot of people can have the knowledge, but they are conscious of God. They are, godly. They are, pious. They are scholars of God. It doesn't get any better. And then these scholars of God are fighting alongside the prophet and sacrificing their lives for the cause, laying down their lives for their God, and they're asking God just to forgive them. Not look at us, not, reward us for this, just forgive our sins and our excesses. Beauty, that is topping it off. And then if you move to Surah Al-Ma'idah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Ma'idah, فَبِمَا نَقْضِهِمْ مِيثَاقَهُمْ لَعَنَّاهُمْ وَجَعَلْنَا قُلُوبَهُمْ قَاسِيَةً يُحَرِّفُونَ الْكَلِمَ عَنْ مَوَاضِعِهِ وَنَسُوا حَظًّا مِمَّا ذُكِّرُوا بِهِ وَلَا تَزَالُ تَطَّلِعُ عَلَى خَائِنَةٍ مِّنْهُمْ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِّنْهُمْ فَاعْفُ عَنْهُمْ وَاصْفَحْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. فَبِمَا نَقْضِهِمْ مِيثَاقَهُمْ, because of their breaching of their covenant or their pledge. Because of their breaching of their covenant or their pledge, لَعَنَّاهُمْ وَجَعَلْنَا قُلُوبَهُمْ قَاسِيَةً. We curse them and we make their hearts hardened. We cursed them and we made their hearts hardened. لَعَنَّاهُمْ وَجَعَلْنَا قُلُوبَهُمْ قَاسِيَةً يُحَرِّفُونَ الْكَلِمَ عَنْ مَوَاضِعِهِ. They alter, they distort, they change the words from their rightful places. Or they change the words, they change the implications of the words. They play around with the interpretation of the words. عن مواضعه could even mean more than just playing with the interpretation. من بعد مواضعه is changing the interpretation. But عن مواضعه, they distort them from their places, meaning that they actually change the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They remove, they delete, they add, change the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they forgot a portion, a good deed of that which they have been reminded of that which they have been instructed in that which they have been taught. They forgot, they overlooked, they neglected. It is, forgetting here does not necessarily mean that it is an inadvertent behavior or unintentional. Forgetting here could mean intention, overlooking, neglecting. much of what you have been reminded of, much of what you have been taught by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَا تَزَالُ تَطَّلِعُ عَلَى فَائِدَةٍ مِنْهُ. And you will not cease. And here, pay attention to this, because Allah is saying to the Prophet, you will not cease, you will not stop, you will continue to observe their deceit, their treachery. You will continue to observe their deceit and their treachery. فَاعْفُ عَنْهُمْ وَاصْفَحْ. Then forgive them and overlook their, aggression, overlook their wickedness. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. For Allah loves those who are muhsineen. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is then, how does this belong to the thread? The thread is go the extra mile, endure, show perseverance, don't falter, don't waver in resolve, in intent, in purpose, in action. Don't waver. Continue. Carry on. Be muhsin. Top it up. Finish it up. Be muhsin. Why is ihsan is being mentioned here? Because it is extremely hard. It is extremely hard when you have people that are living in your midst, the people that are living with you, people that are living around you, and you continue. You do not cease to observe their, treachery and wickedness, and to hold back, and to be patient, and to show forbearance, and to forgive, and overlook their wickedness. Extremely hard. Because, you can do it once, you do it twice. But Allah said, وَلَا تَزْهَدْ. And you will not cease to observe their treachery, their deceit. They're deceiving. And keep in mind, it is not just wrongdoing. Because like if you wrong me, and like a direct offense, I may come back and forgive. But it is harder to forgive when I'm being deceived. Because deception is extremely painful. To be deceived. And then when you're being deceived, you don't know when is the next time that you will become deceived. So you may want to say to yourself, let me just finish this. I can't take this anymore, because I don't know when is the next, what plots do they have for me? What are they plotting for me? What plans do they have for me? So just let me finish all of this. No. And then Allah is telling him, فَاعْفُ عَنْهُمْ وَاصْفَحْ. Then forgive and overlook, which is extremely difficult. Who will be able to do this? Al-Muhsineen. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. That's why Allah mentioned it. Because only Muhsineen are the ones who would be able to show forbearance, in the face of treachery, treason, deceit, show forbearance, forgiveness, kindness, in the face of all of this. And then the last verse in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that He loves the Muhsineen is where He said, لَيْسَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ جُنَاحٌ فِي مَطْعِمِهِمْ وَإِذَا مَا اتَّقَوْا وَآمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ ثُمَّ اتَّقَوْا وَآمَنُوا ثُمَّ اتَّقَوْا وَأَحْسَنُوا وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. It is لَيْسَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ جُنَاحٌ فِي مَطْعِمِهِمْ. There is no sin for those who believed and did righteousness. There is no sin. لَيْسَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ جُنَاحٌ فِي مَطْعِمِهِمْ. There is no sin for those who believed and did righteousness concerning what they may have consumed in the past, concerning that which they have eaten in the past, concerning that which they have drank in the past, and eaten in the past. They will not be taken by this, or they will not be held accountable by this. In the past, جُنَاحٌ فِي مَطْعِمِهِمْ إِذَا مَا اتَّقَوْا وَآمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ ثُمَّ اتَّقَوْا وَآمَنُوا ثُمَّ اتَّقَوْا وَأَحْسَنُوا وَاللَّهُ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Look at this. This is beautiful, because Allah is saying, if they ittaqaw, showed piety, acted piously, feared Allah, وَآمَنُوا, and believed in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, and did righteousness. And then Allah says, ثُمَّ اتَّقَوْا وَآمَنُوا. And then they showed more piety and belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. ثم اتقوا وأحسنوا. And then they showed more piety and they showed ihsan, excellence, and they acted with excellence. So Allah kept ihsan until what? The end. Because so He's saying, اتقوا وآمنوا وعملوا الصالحات, if they feared Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they show piety and they have belief and they did righteousness, and then ثم, and thereafter Allah repeated it. Taqaw, it's a repeat, right? The taqaw wa amanu salihat, thumma taqaw wa amanu, thumma taqaw wa ahsanu. It's a repeat. Thumma taqaw wa amanu, because you build the foundation, you raise the building, you hire the building, and then afterwards you finish it, you ornament it, you beautify it by ihsan. You complete this. So ihsan here comes after endurance in piety. So you will not only show piety, you will endure in showing piety. You will persist. You will not waver in your showing or in exuding the quality of piety, being conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being conscious of Allah at all times. Piety is about fear from Allah, taqillah, fear from Allah. There is no doubt. We must fear from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But piety is beyond fear. It is also about, your constant awareness of the watchfulness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's like what Ubay ibn Ka'b said, you raise up your garment if you cross a thorny land. You raise up your garment and you look underneath your feet and you make sure that you're calculating in every step that you take. It's a thorny land. And the test of this life is like this, like a thorny land. You have a lot of traps, you have a lot of holes that you may fall in. So be careful. Watch every step that you take. That is piety. Ubay ibn Ka'b said that to Umar radiallahu anhu. When Umar asked him about piety, he said, have you ever crossed the land with a lot of thorns? And he said, yes. What do you do then? He said, you raise up your garment and you look underneath your feet. Umar said to him, you lift up your garment, you look underneath your feet, and watch when you're walking. Ubay said to him, that's piety. It's beautiful. They were genius. They were just, so they were sitting with the Prophet every day after Salat al-Fajr, learning from the Prophet. You can't expect that they would be genius. Because the parables they give are very, powerful. That this is exactly what you're doing. When you show piety, this is exactly what you're doing. You're calculating every step that you take on your path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, ثم اتقوا وآمنوا ثم اتقوا وأحسنوا والله يحب المحسنين. And then they feared Allah, showed piety and ihsan, excellence. That's the only thing left, because they had taqwa and iman and amal salih, and then Allah said, and have more taqwa and iman. So what is left? Ihsan. So that's the thread here. The thread is that they don't falter. They carry on. Ihsan is about going the extra mile, taking the extra step. Finish the work, perfect it. In every work that you do, be a muhsin in every work that you do. But where do you get that drive? How are they that driven? How could they be that driven? That's where the hadith comes. أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه. When Jibreel asked the Prophet ﷺ, tell me about ihsan, the Prophet ﷺ said to him, أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. To worship Allah as if you see Him. And if you don't, be certain He does. That's it. That is where they get the drive from. Their awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at all times gives them the drive. How could you not have the drive to go the extra mile, to perfect your work, to perfect your recitation of the Quran, to perfect your act of kindness, to perfect any ma'ruf that you do, any act, any good deed. Perfect it by making sure that it is for Allah. Perfecting it by making sure that you are not showing off. Perfecting it is by making sure that you're doing it exactly according to the way of the Prophet ﷺ, according to the Sunnah and the way of the Prophet ﷺ. Perfecting it is by not thinking big of it. Because once you think big of your own deeds, then you're in trouble. Then you're proud. You're arrogant. Look at them. They were laying down their lives for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and asking Allah to just forgive their sins. So لا يتم المعروف إلا بثلاث خصال. Our righteous predecessors used to say that ma'ruf is not complete except with three qualities. تصديره وتعجيله وستره. تصديره, the ma'ruf will not be complete except if you basically do it or if you have those three qualities. If you perfect it with showing those three qualities. Any action. تصديره, which is to minimize it, تعجيله, to expedite it, وستره, to hide it. These are three things. Minimize it, not minimize the act itself. Huh?
Belittle.
To belittle. But to belittle, yeah, that's a better word. So you're minimizing it in your own perception. This act, you're trying to make it as great as possible, but then when you're seeing it in your own perception, you're minimizing it. You're belittling this act. You're belittling your own act. Because, let me tell you, it is quite obvious. You donated last, in Laylatul Qadr, you will donate $5,000, you donate $10,000, you donated $2,000 last week. Allah, you woke up today with your eyesight. Some of us didn't, but alhamdulillah, everybody in this room now did wake up today with his eyesight. How much would you spend to gain it back if you had lost it? Think about it this way. How much are you willing to spend to gain back your eyesight if you lost it? $100,000? You will be actually, you'll spend the rest of your life. You would work the rest of your life to gain back your eyesight. You go from doctor to doctor, from hospital to hospital, from surgery to surgery, and you'll be willing to spend. You haven't. Why are you taking it for granted that you have it? Well, why do you take it for granted that you wake up in the morning? Some people who have certain conditions, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cure all of them, give them patience and reward them with the best reward in this life and the hereafter. But some people who have multiple sclerosis, for instance, a condition called multiple sclerosis. You may wake up one day without your eyesight, and you may wake up the next day without one of your limbs moving. You lose movement in one of your limbs. Wake up the next day and you lose some other limb or some other function. And it just like this. It's just like this. And so who made this, so callous about the ni'am of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so ungrateful, and so expecting that we're entitled, so feeling entitled that I should wake up every day, and then I become ungrateful and I become resentful if anything happens. If I wake up with a little bit of headache or you're moving your four limbs and you have your eyesight, you're still able to hear, you're still able to talk, you're still able to swallow, you're still able to use the bathroom. All of these functions, you're doing it, and then you're ungrateful or you're resentful because you have this difficulty or that difficulty. So what I'm trying to say is, no matter how much you do, it is little in comparison to the ni'am of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So tasghiruhu wa ta'jiluhu, expedite it, and then satruhu, to hide it. Hide it, that is showing, resolve in intent. Showing that my intent is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I would be, because oftentimes we do something and then we're itching to tell someone about it, or to to, we can't wait to know that someone heard of it. Allah heard of it. The first one who heard of it and who saw it when you did it, it was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Isn't that sufficient for us? So these are some qualities with which we perfect every single act. And ihsan is about perfection, it's about kindness, it is about beauty, it's about resolve. But the thread here is to have the endurance to go the extra mile because you have the ultimate drive. And that ultimate drive, where is the source of the ultimate drive? Your continuous awareness of Allah's watchfulness. If you're not able to behold Allah and beholding Him here with the eyes of your heart, because in the dunya you're not going to be able to behold them with the eyes of your head, but with the eyes of your heart. If you're not able to do this, if you're not able to reach that level, at least you are always conscious of His watchfulness, you're always aware and mindful of His watchfulness over you, and your heart is always in a state of remembrance.